I am a huge fan. So I thought he was just gonna film the eggs interviews, and then I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to edit this too. And I've just spent a year.
Just went and did
I just
it.
spent a year and a half editing with Christian Otero, who's an incredible editor and a dear friend now.
You want to throw out? You want to throw out who else worked on it? You want to throw out Max as the
So
DP?
there
and
was two
plug
DPs.
some people.
Maximilian Lewin and Jake Simpson came in at the end to finish it off. We, in terms of the editing, was done mostly by Christian Otero. He had some assistance from Sergio Beltran, and who else worked on this film? The sound was done by Gigantic Studios. The color was done by Company 3. The special effects was done by Kaha 59, I believe. Not Ocean's 11.
That did not.
Kaha 59.
Kaha 59, starring
Kaha 57, 59.
50.
I'm not sure. We didn't have too much special effects, that's why. But they did an incredible job. Yeah. Yeah.
There were a couple names from Phantom of the Opera, and
so our two
are
names, I would say. So the cast, I spent a year casting this, and
I wasn't available,
No.
which is why you won't be seeing me.
I'm actually in the movie like
Playing.
47 times, but it's like my foot or my hand because I needed that movement. You know, I played the log that went down the river.
I don't have the range to pull off a late teens, early 20s girl that runs away from home from New Jersey.
Yeah. Or upstate New York, just outside New York. She doesn't have to be Jersey.
But range.
See, you didn't do the homework.
I didn't.
You could have done it if you were an upstate teen running away.
You're right. I thought she was running away from New Jersey. Am I wrong?
We shot in New Jersey to utilize the New Jersey tax credit. Maybe that's
where I'm at.
But we didn't specify that it was anywhere.
Got it. That's me knowing too much, actually.
So the two bigger names, one of them is the Broadway West End darling Ramin Karimloo, who he's essentially, whenever they do another rendition of the Phantom that they're going to video or bring to a new place, he's the person they call to play the Phantom.
He's doing the concert of the Addams Family. And the Addams
he's
Family
already
in the West
done
End.
that. He's now doing Songbird Opera in DC. He was in Shanghai doing a concert there. He just did Monte Carlo. He went back and did Phantom. I think Monte Carlo or some extravagance place. He's always working either in a concert or doing his own albums. He's going to come back to Broadway with David Hyde Pierce in 2025.
For what show? Are you allowed?
Pirates of Penzance?
Love that show. Who's he playing? The pirate? The pirate captain?
I think that's
Pirate King?
I don't know.
I was in the show.
Maybe that's not the show. I feel like it's the show, but we'll see. So he's doing that.
I can edit that out if you're not supposed to.
No, it's out. It's out.
Oh, it's out? Okay, cool.
At the roundabout, and also Puya Moseni is in that same what is that called when they do like the whole year? She's also in the roundabout. They're bringing her show the show that she's in called English to Broadway. I saw it off Broadway with her. She's a phenomenal actor. I bawled when I watched her audition. She is. I bawled because I thought that I didn't think I was going to be able to cast that part, and she blew me away. And it's like sometimes you see somebody and they just kind of resonate, and the vibrations from them. I'm just like feeling it on a different level. So not intellectual level or anything. I was just like, that's her. Yeah, that's her. So she's going to be on Broadway as well next year. Jessica Pimentel has a large role in this. She was a series regular on Orange is the New Black. She's also a metalhead singer in her band. fantastic work in this film. And then Brian Carroll, who plays Gordy, a really great character actor. I'm so glad he got to be in this because he just really dug into this juicy, meaty role. I thought was the most complex and one of the more complex characters I've ever written, which was why I was so excited to play it. Everyone, because at first glance it's like, oh, this is the bad guy protagonist, overbearing, drug dealing stepdad. But in actuality, I'm like, he's kind of like the one good person in the film. He just kind of lacks the capacity to be a good person, but
Right.
he has all the desire and heart to be. He's doing everything. He's in tons of big films. He just did a Richard Linklater movie, Man Called Otto. He actually came from the set of Rust to Bound to shoot. And
that's not a movie to brag about being on right now.
He's working all the time. He actually missed the premiere because he was working. And then the lead is played by Alexandra Facedegian, who was my girlfriend at the time when I wrote it and when we started shooting it. And really incredible emotional depth that she has. Fantastic work.
Yeah. Nice.
But everybody just talks about the flying squirrel as their favorite. The other main character I want to mention is Jay Alexander's first film. Audience they love this guy. They love this guy, and his first film. He just did musical theater.
Really? I don't think I knew that.
And the crazy thing is, such a sweet human being. And we were talking, and he's
for them. Who does Jay play?
Jay plays Standrick.
Yeah. Who is like the founded best friend of the lead.
The lead, when she leaves her broken home, she kind of creates this collects this found family of New Yorkers. One played by Ramin. Phantom of the Opera is kind of like the father figure. The mother figures, Jessica Pimentel plays Marta. Standrick plays like the best friend. Hilarious. I think his back history that I came up with is that he's a big guy, and he's a gay man, and he's a black man, and he's a poor man. So he called himself the quadruple minority, let's say. But he's a very talented but a little bit insecure clothing designer who wants to see his clothes on plus-size models on RuPaul's Drag Race was the backstory. I came up with that. That's never said in the film, but that's the kind of stuff that I love to create to enrich it.
Did you talk about this? Did you talk about this with this person?
I didn't talk about this. I think it was in maybe when the breakdowns.
Okay. But it got communicated, I guess.
Yeah.
Is my point.
And he came in, and I don't know where this voice came from, but when I was writing, I had this voice, and it was so funny. He's kind of like the comedic. It's a very dark film, so like he kind of breathes in a little bit of lightness to it at certain points. Lets the audience chuckle and exhale. And we were talking one day, and he says, "Isaac, it's like somebody wrote in my voice." And I said, "Yes, somewhere deep down inside me, there is a Standrick wanting to burst out." And like when I wrote it, and I could see it, and when his audition, I was like, "That's exactly it. He's saying the things and thinking the things, and the thoughts are clear, and he's putting his own little touch on it that really takes it to the next level." And so yeah, so every person kind of has a different plays like a different instrument in the orchestra, and I'm most proud of this ensemble. It took a long time to cast, and I wasn't going to. I was going to cast the best person for the part. I didn't care about social media following or how many shows that they did or da 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 da. I really really searched hard for who I thought would be the right person.
That's a real thing that I've spoken to. I still bartend, so I tell people on the other side of the bar, hey, like I'm an actor, I'm auditioning, but like, I'm trying to build this following. I've got my podcast account has some 200 followers right now. My acting account has some 3,000, which is like a blip. It's nothing on the radar of, social media presence. And I tell people who are outside of the industry, like, no, they ask that. Like, I go in for an audition. I went in for a audition pre-lockdown, and it was for something that Disney was doing, but they wouldn't tell me what it was. So, super secretive. It was probably one of the better projects, to be honest, if they're not telling you what it is. And there was a little, like, name, address, union eligibility. Are you in? Are you eligible? Are you non? And then it was Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Put how many followers you have.
Yep.
And that was third down. And then there were more things beneath that, resume, like past productions, etc. And it's a very real thing. And you can go in, and a lot of these things are cast on type. I'm roughly 5'10". I've got brown hair. I look the way I do. And if a guy that is 5'10" with brown hair and looks roughly the way I do, but has 1 million followers on Instagram and TikTok, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and I have, what I just said, and I give a slightly better audition, they might still cast him because he will most likely post about it on his accounts, and that is free advertising to 1 million people, which has a value attached to it, versus me, who will most likely post about it to less than 4,000 people, which has a value attached to it, and that has more value. And if we're roughly the same, it's like, oh, we can get what we need to on the day out of him and out of him. So let's go with the one that has more followers. It's a very real thing.
It's real.
And it's a game. And it's a game that I think I resisted playing for a long time because I was like, it's bullshit. I don't want to participate in it. I don't want to deal with it. It sucks. I disagree with it. I hate it. No. But I did myself a disservice because all of the people that are in charge of opening the doors.
Now you're a year or 2 or 3 or 4 years behind the other people that were hustling on that front.
Yes and no. I think there's a certain level of something. I don't know what. There's something that has force behind it in saying that I'm 33 and I've been doing this for 11 going on 12 years in New York. There's something about
Best
that.
to play that card. Oh, I was after that whole thing.
There's something about that. There's something about still playing the game. I'm playing the game now stronger than I ever have. And anyone that follows me on social media might be a little bit annoyed by it because I'm posting every day about this show. And I was talking to my dad about it yesterday, about how, you get a certain amount of followers and you start making money off of this sort of thing. And then when you start doing that, that's when people start reaching out to you about, hey, let's put you in our movie. I've seen movies with Vine stars. Remember Vine? The 5-second clips?
This is something I will say. I have a different take on this because when I was just acting, I felt the same way. First of all, I'm a lot older than 33. So like...
What, 35?
Yeah, a lot. At least Ocean's 11 years older than you. And then...
Well done.
Thank you. So I resisted that early on as well. Mostly because I didn't grow up with that.
Right.
I remember MySpace. I remember Friendster before MySpace. That's, those.
Wait, Friendster was a real thing?
I think that's what it was called.
I
Yeah.
thought Friendster was like a making fun of MySpace and
I think
Facebook
that was
thing.
like the first one that I can remember. So that's how old I am. But like, so and as an actor, I was like, whatever. They should take they should take the most talented person, and they should, right? But then once I started putting up my own money, and I thought, oh, well, yeah, this person has 300, and this person has, 50,000. And especially for if it's a part like you said where like, okay, anybody can do this probably, right? I'm not talking about the lead. I'm not talking about the person playing Hamlet. You got to take someone that's just good at
the guy that's serving Daredevil his coffee, for example. Like he's got one line. He's like, Matt Murdock.
So you're either so big that it doesn't matter. The project is so big that it doesn't matter. Like Scorsese's not looking at that, right?
Right.
Oh, for the person that plays, 18th Native American that gets killed at the beginning, whatever, you know what I mean?
In The Departed?
No. So like he's not looking at that, but other people that are like indie filmmakers that are doing, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna take a look at that, and it will have an impact. It will have an effect. I'm still gonna take the person that's best. That's me at this point.
So
maybe that was dumb of me. But I was like, I'm not going to take somebody. I was, especially for a few roles that were so difficult to cast. I was like, I can't find anybody to cast. This is my third round. I'm sending out again. Casting directors probably hate me at this point because I'm like, no, not good enough. Let's find somebody else. So when I found that person, I didn't care because I was like, this is one out of 100, 150 that I saw out of the 500 that they saw that sent to me or whatever, right? But they are going to take into account. But it doesn't always translate. And I just was taking a class with somebody the other day about streamings, and they were somebody that acquired things, and now they're producing their own stuff, and they were talking about selling shows to streamers. And they said, if it's for the leads, there's something about like a social media influencer that people won't take seriously. So even if they have 5 million, 10 million followers, if they're playing the lead and the audience sees that and goes, who is that? That's not a famous, who is that? It's an influencer. They're just going to not take it as seriously as, who is that? Oh, that's Ryan Gosling. But
yes,
during the casting process for other, so does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
But I'm not saying relieve all of your push to do it. Like, send your posts. I think it's important to learn about the trends a little bit. Maybe, especially if you're doing podcasts like this, see what's working out there. Pay the $50 to learn, to get the tutorials on a few things that can, that's important. You should absolutely do that because the one right thing might be able to generate more engagement 10 times, right? And then have that be a problem. But like, sometimes it's not about the amount of content. It's about the way it's presented, and like find the best way to present it. And especially for podcasts and for the videos live, whether it's YouTube and because you can make some money after a while, especially if you're doing 75-minute films. If somebody watches that, you're gonna get, they watched 75 minutes versus 30 seconds here, 45 seconds here. Now, more people might watch those 30 seconds, 45 seconds. That's going to get a lot more hits no matter what because everybody has 30, 45 seconds.
Right.
They don't all have 75 minutes, but.
Well, I was just talking to my dad about, because he asked me, he was like, hey, you keep showing up on my phone. I keep getting notifications. Like, how's this?
Dad, you can mute me.
How's it?
I muted you a while ago.
Well, he doesn't post anything, but he asked me, it's like, hey, like, is it, where you at? Like, how's it going? And I told him, like, it's coming together, but no real money yet. But if looking at the analytics, like what you need to do to make money, for example, I said you need to start having, I think on TikTok, 100,000 views per reel to start really making money. And 100,000 views will give you $100, but they won't give you, $50 for 50,000 views. You need to break that barrier. And once you're past the barrier, then they'll start paying out. And then, same thing for YouTube. You need to hit, I think, 3 million shorts views in order to start monetizing. And so there's 3 qualifications, and that's one of them. And then you also need to have a certain number of subscribers, and there's something else. And
well, there's a lot of people that are doing it now.
There's a lot of people that are doing it.
So every time you add somebody,
right,
the numbers have to get higher, right?
Well, this is what I told my dad. I said, yes, so 500,000 views on a TikTok will get you about $500, mostly because of the revenue that they're generating from the ads. If what I looked at the other day was correct.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Now that seems like a lot, but I told him, I'm like, scroll through your For You page and look at how many views each thing gets, and then tell me how many of them have gotten more than 500,000. It's a solid amount. And then there's also, I take that same clip and then I post it on YouTube, and then it gets another 500,000 or a million there. And then I post it on Instagram and it gets 250,000 there. It's the same clip, the same 30 seconds posted on 3, 4, 5 different medias. And now I'm getting, maybe it's not 500, maybe it's 300, but 300, 3, 3, 3. Now it's $1,500 for that same clip. It's a weird business that's...
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, by the time you reach those barriers, it will have already changed.
Absolutely.
There'll be a new platform, and they'll, like you used to be able to make money by putting your film by yourself on Amazon. You can't do that anymore.
No. That's what Killer in the House, that's what Nick did.
Yeah. Now it's like, they said, like, if somebody watches for an hour, it's like you get 6 cents.
Right.
Or something like, I don't know.
Whereas I'm looking for 500,000 views on a TikTok, for example, and the average person in the world. So there's roughly 1 billion people that use TikTok, and of those billion people, they spend roughly 95 minutes per day on TikTok.
Wow.
So
that's the biggest and fastest growing.
1 billion people spending 95 minutes on average, which means there are people that spend a lot more and a lot less. And you're looking for just 30 seconds of their time, 15 seconds of their time. I've got clips that are 10 seconds.
Look, I'm doing my best. I hope I can get you 30 seconds.
I'm gonna take.
I'll have a sip of that.
Yeah. Help yourself. There are so many.
I don't drink very often, so when I do, I might as well indulge, right?
Might as well indulge. It's good, right? It's a good whiskey.
Yeah, I love it. I just took a cycling class, so this is my excuse,
I'm gonna show it again.
Noble Oak.
It's the Double Oak rye whiskey finished with port wine oak staves. Not sure what staves are.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's the way it is now.
It is.
You could either accept it but again, it's also, they're all just tools.
Mm-hmm.
And I think still the most important thing is to continue finding the enjoyment out of what it is that you're doing. Because if you're enjoying what you're doing and you're not making money, you're still enjoying what you're doing. If you're enjoying what you're doing and making money, you'll just enjoy it a little bit more. But it's like anything. There's things that have to be done. The writing process sometimes is a lot of fun and sometimes is hard. And and when it's hard, I'm like, I've got all these tricks. I'm like, I gotta find a way to trick myself to be having a good time doing this right now, even though I don't want to.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't pump out as many great pages, but I did another day.
Yeah.
Or another hour or 2 hours or whatever it might be. Maybe it's 10 minutes, you know? And so like it, so if I can find a way to enjoy it, to get excited about it, to not judge it, but to get curious about it, to, you know, to just be like, wow, all right. And sometimes I hit a wall, and then I got to remember to myself, right? I got to remind myself, hey, you're hitting a wall. Doesn't feel good. But guess what? That wall will break down, and it's going to feel great after. Because a lot of times, that's what it needs. It means you're breaking something down. You're about to jump into something new. You're about to be dropped into a new place of creativity, and then you got to get yourself out of it. And then when you get yourself out of it, you found a new way because you never been there before. You found a new way to get yourself out of it, or that character out of that situation. And that's when I write, I've tried like do an outline first because it feels safe. Oh, I'll write to this point. I'll write to this point. I'll write to this point. I've never finished those scripts.
Really?
But the points
that's how I write. But I write short episodes. Like I've got a concept for a series. I've written 7 episodes, but I've written them like that, and they're.
But do you think that the Daniels wrote an outline for Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I don't know.
Do you think that
for
some of these movies that are like this, I was like, there's just no way that they could have known they're going to end up there. But if they're just in the moment and flowing, I feel like they're going to go here and go here, go here, and then you craft it later. Everybody does things differently. Tarantino writes with the pen.
Right.
That's what he does to do. This person writes with outlines. This person writes 175 pages before they realize what they're writing and crafts, and then goes back and starts over. This person doesn't write. They talk it all under a recorder. And then...
That's someone. Who is that? That sounds very familiar.
And then they go back and transcribe it. And so, like, for whatever reason... And not one is the right way to do it.
Right. No, it's whatever works for you.
Yeah. So for me, like, I have a tough time with that. I've done that. I've written, and then I'm like, the problem is I get excited in the push when it's going straight from here to here. I don't write with a pen, so like here.
Right.
That's what and so when the excitement's done and I know where I'm going, I'm less excited about it.
I'm the opposite. So I've written quite a bit, and I write from an actor perspective. So
what do you mean by that?
So when I was studying with my acting coach, the entire process for us, like the homework before we stepped up and started acting, was figure out 3 things. What our actor wants, where we're coming from, and what the conflict is. So the conflict usually being from the other person. So let's say...
It better be from the other person. Well, sometimes it could be an internal conflict.
Right. No, but it's more interesting if it's from the other person. So
unless it's a monologue.
I hate monologues. So I've never written monologues.
Ideally what you want is I want to see a person that's conflicted internally and getting crap thrown at them.
But so those 3 things. Mm-hmm. And so when I write addressing all 3 of those things with every single line. So if a character is trying to solve a problem in the scene, I believe that they're trying to solve the problem with every single scene. That's the way I address scenes that I pick up for a scene study class, for an acting class. I think
if it's a good show and if it doesn't have those things, then you wouldn't need that scene in the show.
Correct. So if it's a well-written scene, if it's
Yeah.
an important scene, it has all of those. So that's how I write. I write every single line is serving a purpose. Every single line, the character who speaks the line is trying to solve their problem. That's
They're just both trying to get what
that's-
they want.
they're both
And
trying to get what they want. That's
they're
usually what the
direct
conflict
about
is.
it. Sometimes they're indirect about it. Sometimes it's a physical action. Sometimes it's intellectual tricking or
Right.
whatever. You know, that all depends on the genre, the characters themselves. You know,
Yeah.
that can all change.
But that's usually how so that's what I mean when I say I approach writing from an actor's perspective.
Mm-hmm. Well, writers should approach it in that way too. Because if
But they don't.
you can't answer that, then you're like, all right, well, this is a scene that's going to be cut.
Well, you also
And
can have
here's
late-
another thing I'll say is that it's okay to write that scene, to continue the flow of the writing. Like, you know, write that scene to get to the scene that you actually will keep.
and then edit down.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
craft. That's
Yeah.
that. You got to get that bad draft out. The first screenplay I ever wrote, 220 or 40 pages.
That's too much.
It was
That's Lord
every
of the
single
Rings.
scene was really great.
That's
I loved it. I loved all of them. And then I said, all right, cool. First thing I'm gonna do is cut 50%. You know, and what that meant was, well, these two characters, they're now one.
really
Yeah. These two characters are now one because do I need a mother and father? No. Can I just have a solo parent? Addressing all
what
of the
project
same needs.
was this? Did it get made? Is it out there?
No, that's the baseball movie. That's the one that was in the hands of the big dogs, and then COVID hit.
Okay, so I'm curious because you've updated me on this somewhat, but I think the last update I got was over a year ago. Are you still working on that, or has interest been reignited?
So that project is I want to be my next project, but
Right.
that project needs $5 million.
You've discussed
think.
Bound as the stepping stone.
Yeah.
The we're going to do this at this budget, and it's going to be successful, which is going to be the jump pad, the stepping stone into this baseball movie.
Yes, so that is still that going, but the thing is, we're just doing festivals right now.
Right.
It's not like we just sold the movie for 15 million. Now I can go back to all my investors and be like, here's your 120% plus this, right?
Right. By the way, I'm making a baseball movie. If you want to throw some of that back in and then get 5-10 times that back,
But in reality, in the indie world, and is getting more and more and more difficult. It's because the changing landscape, because of the social media, because of the streamings, because of all of these things. Generally, you used to be able to make a movie for a certain amount, take it to a distributor, or hire a sales or producer rep to help you take it to a distributor. The distributor hops on board, they take their cut, then they sell it to these houses that will put it on their platforms, right? Before that, this is just in the streaming world, the Netflixes and the Hulus and stuff, and then those. But the thing is, they're making their own now.
Yeah.
Because they're like, why am I gonna give you $1 million, $5 million, $10 million to have a year's rights of your movie, but own 30% of it? I'm just gonna make my own 20, 30, $40 million movie and own all of it. So it's there's less people, and there's more movies being made. You got 1, 2, 3 cameras here, right?
I do.
All pretty good quality cameras, right?
Well, that's the same camera 3 times.
Sure, but
Yeah.
like back 50 years ago, how many people had 3 cameras?
Oh, like only the big studios.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now people shooting their stuff on their iPhones and the this and the that, and that you can get a nice setup for not too expensive, when before you had to be a studio. So you're gonna have a giant camera, right? So now there's a influx of product that's out there as well.
My buddy Nick, same Nick we've been talking about, pointed out that we're moving back towards a studio contract model with actors. So back in the day, you used to sign an actor to a specific studio, and they would make 5 or 6 movies for the studio. Like Cary Grant would make like 5 or 6 movies
Yeah,
for
or
Paramount.
Charlie Chaplin would.
Charlie
Chaplin
yeah.
was basically the studio.
Yeah.
He did it all.
And now it seems like that's what's happening right now. Netflix has offered, I believe Adam Sandler is probably the most recognizable name that Netflix has a 5-movie deal with. Alan Ritchson, who plays Jack Reacher in the Reacher show right now on Amazon Prime, just signed a 3 or 4 movie deal. And it was funny, he posted, he's like, hey, big news, etc. I just signed this 3 or 4 movie deal with Amazon. And then underneath he was like, I promise to not make movies that suck. Because he doesn't know what movies he's making. Mm-hmm. He is now a studio, an Amazon Prime.
So is he not allowed to do a film for anybody else?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's contract to contract. I'm pretty sure he doesn't, or I'm pretty sure it's not, his contract doesn't look the same as Adam Sandler's for Netflix, or so-and-so, like Sylvester Stallone, I think, has one with Amazon because he just did Tulsa King, and I think he's going to do a couple more things with Amazon. I'm pretty sure he can refuse. Like if he got a dog shit script sent his way, he can be like, guys, look, no, this isn't any good.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how that is, but
we're moving back towards studio model, I think, is, I guess, my point.
Well, that studio wants to have a certain amount of content, and they'll lock you down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does he shed a little bit?
Yeah.
My dog sheds.
Yeah, look at him.
Yeah. My dog. Now the joke is because everyone, when you're getting a Shiba, they're like, "Oh yeah, it only sheds like twice a year," and that's true. It sheds twice a year for 365 days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's
what's his name?
Bentley.
Bentley.
He's luxurious.
Oh, look at you.
He's a rag doll.
You are no Pinto. You are Bentley.
Sure is.
And Bentley, you're like, I'm gonna wave this right across your eyeballs so they can get in. I know you're okay. You're good.
I made tacos the other night. Mm-hmm. Just 2 tacos, soft shell, so they were like flopping open, and like beef and cheese and whatnot.
Ground beef, real beef, regular beef.
Yeah, real beef, ground beef.
A white person taco then.
I mean, yeah, that's. Yeah. I mean, at
least it was soft and it wasn't like El Paso hard taco.
I spent. I mean, I use the El Paso like seasoning you sprinkle in the pan. And he just
get this guy to a taco.
He does a thing where like he'll brush past, like, let's say this is the desktop or the tabletop, and he's like brushing past like right here, and then his tail just whips over, and all of a sudden I've got like sauce on my leg, and I'm like, where did that even come from? And then I look at his tail and it's damp. And it's like, oh, you brushed like a paintbrush into my tacos, and then you painted the side of my leg.
There you go. Artist.
There he is.
Artist.
Yeah. He knows you're allergic to him, and that's why he wants to be close to you.
Yeah, so like when I crashed at my an ex-girlfriend's once, and I told him, I was like, look, I'm allergic to cats. And guess where the cat wanted to sleep?
Right on your chest.
On my face.
On your face, yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, this is weird. And I was like, can we and the parents didn't want us to have a door there, so we slept in on the living room or whatever. So there was no like lock 'em in,
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, this is your cat that hasn't seen you in such and such years.
Obsessed with you.
And obsessed with my face.
Yeah.
So I just took a bunch and it's all good.
I think there's a theory behind it. It's I smell like him already, and you don't, and so he needs to put his smell on. I think he's claiming you. I think is what it really is. You belong to him now.
What can I say? Look, I give in. I give in.
Yeah.
Look how long your whiskers are. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I never realized how long cats' whiskers.
You know
like
they
twice
fall
your
out.
face.
You know they fall out like whisker. Like I'll see a whisker like on the ground every once in a while.
Yeah, I could imagine. I believe that.
Yeah. He's a good boy.
Yeah. All right, Bentley, you can hang out here with us. It's all good. But you got to talk shop. All right. What else? What else? Where were we at?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
We've gotten a little unhinged.
It's because we haven't been drinking, and then drinking.
Yeah. This, I mean,
we might have to have a redo. We got all of this. We got all this product, but there's no through line.
Hey, bud. Psst, psst, psst. Come here.
How old is Bence?
Can I call him like, Bence? Yeah, of course. He's Ben. 3 and a half.
Oh, nice, Ben. Thanks for
giving
me.
Yeah, no, he does that. Yeah, no, I mean, welcome to life. I mean, I've not had a meal without Bentley hair in it.
Oh yeah.
Actually, see another one.
It's all good. No worries. No worries.
So, what is? Did I hear your favorite movie?
No, you kept cutting me off and started talking about Ocean's 11.
Tell me. I mean, I fucking love Ocean's 11. Don't get me wrong. Tell me what your favorite movie is.
Okay. So again, my favorite type of movie is one where I don't know where it's going. It hits me in the gut. It's not that I don't love Dumb and Dumber or whatever. I love those movies. Don't get me wrong.
I love Dumb and Dumber.
But when I like, if you're talking about movies that like changed my life, it's something that like boom hits me in the gut. Usually it's a story. Sometimes it's a performance, but mostly it's a story. So what do we talk about? Old Boy, City of God.
I cut you off at City of God.
Yeah. So those two movies.
So what do you think about the weather today? No, I'm kidding. Just
the Korean movies are amazing. Parasite, fantastic.
Parasite's one of my favorites.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I watched Parasite on the way to Thailand. That was great.
Yeah, that movie is. I mean, that's like a. Again, do you see how in that movie how fast you think it's one thing. You think it's just this family that's overtaking this house, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's an underground in this house, and then it's a whole new film. So that influences. So like in Bound, in the midway point, I want the audience to think it's one thing, and then this social drama turns into this domestic thriller. You know what I mean? So that was a good one. Another film that does that for me that is American film, 3 Billboards.
I loved 3 Billboards. I will say this: I only watched it the one time, so kind of taking a page out of your book.
That movie is like, you don't know that Woody Harrelson's going to do this, or this person's going to do this, or this person's going to become this or that. Unbelievable. And the great thing about that movie is there's no normal resolution. You don't find this or that or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not about that. But that movie advances so quickly, so fast, and those characters change so much,
Do you think that movie would have been as successful with less talented actors? Because that was an obviously strong A-list.
I know he wrote it for Frances McDormand in mind. He wrote it.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone else playing that character.
I think that the story is so strong, because the story is so strong, and it advances so quickly, and it's so surprising, yet makes sense in its surprise. It's not just like, oh, I just turned this comedy into horror, or
like Cabin in the Woods.
I don't know. I haven't seen that one.
You haven't seen it? Oh, no. It's a great one.
I haven't seen that one, but I yes, like I'm sure. Yeah, like it's just Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it all makes sense. It's it's tight in that sense. It's not just like we're just throwing everything everywhere so you don't know what's going on.
You're not throwing
You're being
everything
led
everywhere all at once.
everything everywhere all at once into the oceans. 11.
Was that even a real sip?
Yo, listen. You're like all the people that used to come into Whiskey Town. Hey, is that a real shot? It's like, look, man.
I'm out of ice. I can't even offer you anything to water it down.
Yeah. First of all, you're the one that's using ice to water it down.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you wimp.
That's why I've refilled mine 8 times. If you've only refilled yours 3.
That's all. I got things to do. I got things to do, like not
Be
fall over,
drunk and
not be drunk at 2 p.m. or whatever time. I don't even know what time it is.
5.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
roughly. If this watch is correct, which it's a birth or a Christmas gift. So if it's not, then Mom, you messed up.
Mom, what
Mom,
the heck?
my gosh.
Also, my birthday's in a month. So.
When's your birthday?
March 20th.
Nice. Are those Gore-Tex?
They either are or they're lying to
You
me.
know something about Gore-Tex, Jerry?
I don't actually.
Did you ever watch Seinfeld?
I've seen some Seinfeld, but not that episode.
There's an episode where George walks in a super puffy coat, like one that makes him look like the Incredible Hulk, and it's a Gore-Tex jacket, and everyone like in the room looks at him. He's like, it's Gore-Tex. You know anything about Gore-Tex, Jerry? And it's just
does she know anything about Gore-Tex?
No.
Yeah. Nah. I know it's waterproof, so that's at least that.
That's about.
I think
it.
that's all you really need to know.
That's
about
really
Gore-Tex.
all you need to know.
Yeah.
About Gore-Tex, Jerry.
Yeah. So yeah, other movies that left huge impressions on me.
So you've gotten 3. You've said Old Boy.
No,
You've
I've
said
done more than that. I've done 5.
Yes, Ocean's 5, the prequel
Well,
starring Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie.
Justin only likes odd numbers.
Prime
11,
numbers.
13.
Prime numbers. 5, 11, 13. I'm so happy that actually works out.
Dead Poets Society.
That's a very good movie.
I'm trying, basically movies that make me cry or make movies that just like hit like that.
You like Good Will Hunting? I'm thinking Robin Williams now. You've got me on Robin Williams.
No, I love Robin Williams.
He was one of the best. He was one of the best because he did everything really well. But what he did best was comedy. But then
I don't know about
like,
that.
Well, him and Jim Carrey, I think, are the same in this sense, where they are incredibly talented at conveying a character, but the characters they are given most often are comedy.
Yeah, but they're also a different type of actor. There's very funny comedians. I mean, you just said Seinfeld, funny guy. He would never.
I would never put him in a serious role.
No, but like he's a comedian, and
Sure.
but he's not in the world. There's very few people in the Jim Carrey, Robin Williams world. There's very few people where, what's the story about Robin Williams? And they go in and he tapes all the stuff for the Genie in an hour. He's like, oh, can I improv for a bit? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then 8 hours later, they're like, well, we're rewriting the script.
Yeah.
That's a different level. That's the actor that when I was doing training, I was like, I want this. I want this thing where the neurons are firing off so quickly that things are coming out that aren't just like I'm a crazy person coming out, that all are defined characters or defined this and all makes sense for the script. So and are tied physically to the person because they weren't just funny, but their whole body was absolutely infused and connected to these neurons that are firing off like at 1,000,000 miles per hour. And there's only a couple people that do that. Those are those in that world. Name another person in that category.
Besides Jim Carrey and Robin Williams?
Yeah.
I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I do want to give it a real thought.
The physical,
Yeah,
different characters. That's all the mask work right there
Yeah.
that they do. So like when Robin Williams went to Juilliard, and this, I don't know if this is true. I wasn't in his class. The story was that he was doing fine work, and then they got to the mask class, and he just like, and everyone is just like, because that's his specialty. He's he can play a million different clowns.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. It's incredible what he can do. And he's also very good at the drama. But now also you got to cleanse the palate, right? If you just have like this heavy, if Bound is just heavy, and there's no lightness, no Standrick moments, no that, then the heaviness just feels the heavy part doesn't feel
Heavy
as
for
heavy.
heavy's sake.
Yeah, it also doesn't feel as heavy because you're in heavy. So if you can go light for a bit and you cleanse the palate, you eat that piece of ginger between your sushi bites, then you can taste the fish differently than the next one. Although most people just douse it in soy sauce anyways. But if you're at a fancy omakase, right, and you're just going one piece at a time.
You haven't worked at a sushi spot.
I'm Japanese, dude.
But you've also worked at a great sushi spot.
Sure,
we're not going to
whether or not I work there or not, I know that there's that. So like, for me, I'm like, that just makes the funny funnier and the heavy heavier. If you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because
so
brings you down to punch you back up, and then brings you up to punch you back down.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I have someone that does like if you wanted to find me someone that does what Robin Williams does that's alive, currently working, it's Jim Carrey. But also, like, they're kind of, I think they were roughly born around the same time. So they would be, if both were alive, they'd be roughly the same age. So I don't know if I have someone else. I don't know if I have someone younger or...
they're just in a different...
They're in a different...
like you have to go back to... I'm sure there's lots of commedia dell'arte theater actors that can fall in that character that never got a film break or something, that might...
I'm sure.
But
yeah.
But they're it's like it's like they have different characters in them. It's not like, oh, this person played this amazing character, but then they got 8 months to prep for the next film where they play this different amazing character.
Right.
They are switching on a dime.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about the behind the scenes for Robin Williams, for behind the scenes for Aladdin.
There's nobody that could have done something like that.
How many impressions of real characters / actors did we see in Aladdin? 8, 10, 12? I heard there were like 60.
There's
and
so many because
he
would do 3 words, Even when he played a bee yourself.
Yep.
That's a new character.
Absolutely.
That's a new mask that he's playing.
They're coming out with something new. Disney is. It's a 100th anniversary or a 110th anniversary, whatever it is, and they want to bring the genie back. And a lot of pushback has been, do not AI Robin Williams into this thing. Do not take all of the footage that you have and then create a script for him and then AI the footage in to the AI and then have it generate the script. People hate that idea. People hate the idea of, you know what I mean?
I don't. The whole AI thing is a whole new.
That's a whole different thing. All of that to say, that's not even my point. Disney said, "Hey, we're not going to do that," but we have 60-ish hours of Robin Williams tracks.
No offense, but they should use that more than they should use Will Smith's genie. And I'm not just saying that because of the slap heard around the world.
I didn't mind Will Smith's genie, but it came before the slap heard around the world. But all that to say, they're going to use original Robin Williams tracks to recreate the genie or to reimagine the genie.
60 hours worth. You only need what 10 minutes worth for the film. 10 minutes worth for the film.
Like him interacting with other people. If he interacts with someone else for 10 minutes, you need what 3 minutes of actually him speaking.
That one hurt. That one hurt.
That one still hurts. That is
because
okay. So
there was so much stuff. That's what I'm saying. Is like with my film, like when I'm watching films, is being surprised. Everything I always surprised.
Yeah.
Always like wasn't expecting that, and it makes sense. Now there's some people that you could do just a bunch of drugs or drink a bunch of whiskey and just do crazy stuff, and it's like that's surprising, but it's not thematic. It doesn't tailor to the script. It doesn't make
right.
You know what I mean? It's just being wacky for being wacky. But that was
Robin Williams was everything made sense. Everything had intention. Everything was correct.
Yeah, or he played so much that you play 60 hours, you can find the moments that are correct. But the thing is, how often are you going to find an actor that will play for 60 hours?
Rarely, if ever.
Because everyone's like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to do my line, but that's it, and that's it. I've already done my work. I know exactly what I'm going to do, and that's that. It's like, no, but I don't want to see what you already about to do. Unless you're so good at it, it seems like it's the first time. Hi, boo-boo.
I mean, I think about it, and I think only the two, Robin Williams and Jim Carrey. Those are the only two that I can think of. That
we're missing somebody.
We're obviously missing some people.
Missing a few people, but like
I think Jeff Daniels is up there. I don't think he plays as much, but he played with both of them.
Sure.
So I think that he is of caliber.
Played second fiddle. I think Jeff Daniels is amazing.
No, Jeff Daniels is top. He's top tier. No, that's what I'm saying.
I have a question for you.
Ask.
Actors that never do a bad movie.
A bad movie or a bad performance?
Well, both. But like their performance is probably going to be pretty good. I think the number one actor that like hasn't done a bad movie. John Goodman. Name a bad John Goodman movie.
That's a very strong opening argument. That's very good.
It's like who's his management team? I want them. Don't do this one. Also, he's just so good that
he's very good.
It a good movie.
I watched.
For instance, you just said, "Oh, Josh Brolin's great," right?
He is great. Yeah.
But that old boy, bad movie.
Bad movie. Bad. Well, 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10.
Leonardo doesn't do too many bad movies, but he's done some bad movies. And I'm not a huge Leonardo fan.
Okay, so
I don't want to be on your podcast just ripping on
my best friend. No, I just like the episode I dropped yesterday is just us ripping into people for 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
My best friend in the whole world hates a few different people in casting because he thinks that they do the same thing every time. And I'm not going to name who he doesn't like, but I'll speak for myself. I'll speak my own opinions. I think Leo does the same thing every time.
That's why we were so refreshed when we saw Wolf of Wall Street. A little bit different. At least the story, the writing got him to flop around on the ground in that one scene.
I'll tell you what. I'm not gonna disagree. I'm not gonna agree. I'm gonna say this. My Leo movies, Titanic, obviously, and then Blood Diamond.
Departed over Blood Diamond.
Departed, Shutter. I'm not listing in any particular order. Titanic, Blood Diamond, Departed, Shutter Island, end of list.
Gilbert Grape or whatever.
Nah.
So I will
don't
say
need it.
that he almost always does a good movie.
It's always good. It's always watchable.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it.
Like I mean, how many scripts does he get past? He gets the pick of the
Thousands,
litter, no?
thousands.
He's like, I can read 3 scripts a day.
Does he say yes to Scorsese every single time? Probably. Should he?
You're playing. He's gonna be playing one of the leads in one of the 5 American director gods of the
Look,
past.
it's a
50
career
years.
it's a career correct maneuver. Sure.
But he also gets to play the meaty role.
Sure.
In all of those.
But
does it expand his? Is he expanding his what he's built?
he was
also was great in the Tarantino film.
Django. I was just gonna say the last time I think he actually stepped outside his comfort zone was Django. I think that was the last. So Titanic, I think, is when he really became comfortable as an actor. And then The Departed was his last great performance. And then Django was also great, but like I think Django was the last time that he truly stepped outside of his comfort zone.
You know what? I didn't like the movie, but I liked him in Once Upon. And there was that one scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood
Where he loses his shit in the trailer?
No, when he's actually acting.
All right. My GoPros are dying.
All right, are we supposed to wrap this up in some fancy
We're supposed to wrap it up. Yep. I'm going to move this a little bit wide angle. And we're going to wrap it up because
All right.
that camera died and like 10 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
And then that one just died there. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. I really appreciate it.
I'm not sure what kind of content you got.
I got roughly 6 solid minutes of content. It's going to be 3 TikToks, and that's
it might not be 500,000, but you might get 500 views.
I might get 500 views, which gives me 5 cents on the dollar.
All right, I'll join TikTok just so you can get a few more cents.
Just open up my page, scroll to the video, and then leave the phone on the nightstand while you go do your morning routine. You make your coffee and whatnot.
Man, that's what it takes.
It is what it takes. All right, Isaac, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh,
we're gonna cheers. We don't want to cheers with empty glasses.
No.
Pour a little.
We're gonna cheers properly.
We're gonna cheers properly. We're gonna tap down.
Look at each other's eyes. We're gonna tap down.
George Ritolo. I don't know how to pronounce his fucking last name. Cheers.
Love you, brother.
Love you, buddy.
We out.
And that's it. I don't have a producer, so I just gotta do it myself. Oh my gosh.